He and 9 other plaintiffs, including his publicists, have brought a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, essentially alleging them of libel and false light invasion of privacy. So Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, he told BBC's partner CBS that the newspaper aided and abetted a smear campaign designed to revitalise
her negative press and led to a series of clips of her being insensitive in one way, shape, or form with other interviewers in the past. She has no one to blame but herself for that.
The press tour is part of that pay package.
Right.
You have to show up with a smile on your face and be polite to people who are not lobbing, difficult questions at you. They're
that Justin's team is making in kind of complying with what they're viewing as threats made on her behalf against Justin is like, well, there's this financial consequence to everything in addition to the strike consequences too, right? So they filmed May to June, then shut down for the strike, and then they were down until January. But I think that the strike lifted in November, but then she had all these return to work.
Text from Blake Lively is insane. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth. What?
It's a crazy text.
What are you insinuating? Like, is that a joke?
Yeah.
I was blown away reading it. I really was blown away, and honestly, weirded out. We're dealing with a weird on our hands because this crazy.
Got a TikTok tip. Wow, that was amazing to say. I want to say it again. I got a TikTok tip and had a conversation with somebody who runs the Be Better company. You guys might know him, Marcos. We're going to get to him and an email that he sent me. And there's an amazing fact here in that this TikToker, Marcos, who runs the Be Better company, actually was Team Blake Lively when this all began. And then did this crazy thing called reading Justin Baldoni's.
Where people ignore the red flags and say, let's just keep pushing. Those are the times where you fail. The majority of things that we're buying are created by men. You always learn more from your failures than you do your successes. I love creating, and I think that as women, you're not often given authorship, yet women represent 85% of people making purchases in homes across all categories. Yet the majority of things that we're buying are created by...
Did not even read the book that the movie was based on.
Correct.
And we're not talking War and Peace. And then she wanted to, ixnayed all of the wardrobe choices, because when you're making a movie about a poor woman who's suffering from domestic violence, you want her to look like she has money.
Right.
That Blake said.
That's what she did.
She looks like she has money.
Yep.
And she's dressing in florals. And then she's going on this press tour, pushing her liquor line and her hair care line, because that's what women who are trying to escape with their lives are.
Could a single leaked document derail the career of one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars? Some believe it already has, and that Blake Lively's life may never be the same. A storm is brewing in Tinseltown so fierce it threatens to sweep away reputations, friendships, and even entire careers. At the heart of it all, 2 household names, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, once creative partners on what was supposed to be a dream collaboration. The film adaptation of It Ends With Us, they now find themselves at the center of what's being called Hollywood's biggest behind-the-scenes meltdown in years. And according to whispers online, only one may survive the fallout. On paper, their pairing was foolproof. A beloved actress with a golden image, a charismatic actor turned director, and a best-selling novel with a built-in fan base. Industry insiders predicted an instant blockbuster. But almost immediately, cracks began to form. Crew members hinted at creative clashes between Lively and Baldoni, disagreements that went well beyond the usual artistic tension. Their absence from joint red carpet photos fueled suspicion. Fans brushed it off as typical Hollywood static, until things took a darker turn. An eyewitness claimed to see the two locked in a tense, whispered argument over last-minute script changes. Alone, that might have been nothing. Together, it was a warning sign. Behind the scenes, the situation was far more volatile. The real explosion came when alleged Sony HR complaint documents suddenly surfaced online. Practically overnight, social media flooded with screenshots that appeared to show Baldoni as the subject of multiple complaints from actresses on set. The accusations were serious: inappropriate behavior, unwanted contact, and fostering a hostile work environment. The documents looked official, complete with watermarks, legal formatting, and HR jargon that read like the real deal. And in Hollywood, the appearance of misconduct is often enough to end a career before the truth ever catches up. The leak ignited a firestorm. Comment sections, Twitter threads, and gossip sites erupted. Some swore the reports were authentic. Others called them a smear campaign. Baldoni's supporters argued the timing was too convenient, right as the film neared completion. Lively's defenders said the files validated her claims of mistreatment. Regardless of their origin, those so-called HR documents changed everything. They transformed a creative feud into a full-blown scandal, leaving fans, studios, and industry insiders asking the same question: who stands to gain from the chaos? Were they leaked by a whistleblower determined to expose the truth, or by someone with far more calculated motives? In an industry built on illusion, a single leak, true or not, can destroy a reputation overnight. And in this case, the biggest mystery isn't what the document said. It's who was holding the smoking gun. On TikTok, millions paused, zoomed, and dissected every blurry line of text, blasting Baldoni for alleged misconduct. But as the screenshots spread like wildfire across Twitter and Instagram, a few sharp-eyed observers started to notice. Something about those files didn't quite add up. Critical details such as filing dates were blacked out. No official signatures appeared anywhere. Sony's logo was splashed across every page, yet not a single contact for a real HR representative could be found. And perhaps the biggest red flag of all, despite their supposedly explosive content, these documents were missing from the official court filings tied to Blake Lively's lawsuit. If she truly possessed this smoking gun, why wasn't her legal team using it? That question became the cornerstone of Justin Baldoni's defense. His lawyers immediately flagged the leak as highly suspicious and demanded a formal investigation into its origins. The timing was far too perfect. The documents had surfaced the very same week Blake filed an amended lawsuit with fresh allegations. To Baldoni's camp, this wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. A deliberate attempt to poison the well of public opinion before the case could reach a judge. Then came the move that shocked everyone. Sony itself stepped into the spotlight. In a rare public statement, the studio flatly denied the existence of any official HR complaints against Justin Baldoni, none on record, period. Normally, a corporation would keep quiet, handling such matters internally. But with Sony's name splattered across the leaked documents, the studio had to break its silence and distance itself entirely from the scandal. That announcement left Hollywood with two unsettling possibilities. Option 1. The documents were real but stolen, a massive breach of confidentiality. Option 2. They were forgeries and a calculated fraud. Either way, someone was in deep trouble. If stolen, it meant someone within Sony risked their career and possible criminal charges. If forged, it opened the door to defamation, fraud, and an investigation that could ripple through the entire industry. The gossip mill exploded. Producers, agents, and anonymous insiders all weighed in. Some claimed the documents felt authentic, but were tampered with. Others dismissed them as amateur fakes, citing inconsistent formatting and sloppy phrasing. The only thing everyone agreed on? The timing was too precise, conveniently syncing with Blake's latest legal maneuver. To many, it looked less like justice and more like a targeted strike. Justin Baldoni wasted no time fighting back. Long known for his composed, spiritual demeanor, he suddenly went on the offensive. Backed by powerhouse attorney Brian Friedman, Baldoni publicly challenged the legitimacy of the so-called HR files. Friedman's message was blunt. Produce the originals. If they were real, the unredacted versions would include verifiable names, timestamps, and signatures. Without that, the screenshots meant nothing. Then, in a rare emotional moment, Baldoni broke his silence online. He accused his opponents of orchestrating a smear campaign designed for maximum reputational damage. If these claims were true, he argued, they would have gone through the proper channels, not TikTok. For him, this battle was no longer just about winning in court. It was about proving that the scandal itself might have been engineered to destroy him. He pointed out the obvious. If Sony had ever investigated him, there would be a clear, traceable paper trail, one protected by strict HR protocols. Instead, these official files had mysteriously appeared on social media, so Baldoni switched tactics. He made transparency his weapon. To counter the narrative, he began releasing behind-the-scenes clips, call sheets, and unedited footage from it ends with us. The material showed laughter, professionalism, and camaraderie, not the hostile environment Blake's filings described. His message was sharp. If accountability was needed, he would face it. But what he would not tolerate was fabrication dressed up as truth. To understand how this feud spiraled so wildly out of control, you have to rewind to late 2024, when Blake Lively filed her first official complaint. She described Baldoni as controlling, aggressive, and intimidating. Justin responded almost immediately, posting videos of them smiling and joking between takes, footage that directly contradicted her claims. Then came another twist. Justin's team revealed that months before the complaint was filed, gossip outlets were already buzzing with stories about him being difficult and overly controlling. That wasn't coincidence. They argued. It was a planted narrative. One rumor in particular raised eyebrows. A rogue publicist allegedly tied to Blake had been feeding tabloids fabricated stories, including the claim that multiple women had filed HR complaints against Baldoni. And suddenly, the pieces began to fall into place. If true, that would mean the TikTok Sony files were not some random leak, but the culmination of a long, carefully orchestrated takedown designed to destroy his career. The controversy hit a new level when the New York Times published an in-depth expose on the allegations. Rather than let the coverage stand, Baldoni escalated dramatically. He filed a $250 million lawsuit against the paper, accusing it of cherry-picking details to cast him as the villain and ignoring evidence that contradicted Lively's claims. Taking on one of the most powerful newspapers in the world was no small feat, but Baldoni seemed certain he had the truth on his side. Meanwhile, cracks began to show in Hollywood's carefully polished facade. The industry is no stranger to behind-the-scenes feuds, but rarely do they explode this publicly, and never when both sides are A-listers. While Blake Lively still commanded a massive fan base, insiders began to hesitate. Reports surfaced of studios quietly pressing pause on upcoming projects involving her. Producers feared that hiring Blake could turn a set into the next battleground, while directors worried that sensitive information might leak again, sparking another public scandal. For a studio, brand image is everything, and few wanted to risk being dragged into the firestorm. On the flip side, Baldoni, who had initially faced widespread backlash, began shifting the narrative. Each time a new leak emerged, his team either debunked it or demanded verification that never materialized. Bit by bit, the tide began to turn. Neutral observers started asking the uncomfortable questions. If Sony itself disclaimed any knowledge of the HR documents, and if no official filings existed, then what exactly was going on? But this battle was far from over. Baldoni didn't just defend himself, he launched an all-out counteroffensive. In an extraordinary escalation, he filed a $400 million lawsuit against Blake Lively and even named Ryan Reynolds, accusing the couple of defamation and civil extortion. That last charge sent shockwaves through the industry. Civil extortion suggested Baldoni believed Lively had tried to strong-arm him, possibly threatening to release damaging evidence, unless he conceded to her demands. Industry chatter speculated that those demands might have included granting her greater creative control over the film, or even paying hush money to prevent her from going public. If those claims are ever substantiated in court, the fallout could be catastrophic. In Hollywood, reputations are currency, and being branded as someone who fabricates or manipulates evidence can make an actor untouchable. For Blake, the stakes could not be higher. A loss in this legal war wouldn't just mean financial ruin, it could permanently destroy her credibility and brand. For Justin, the risk is just as steep. Even if the leaked files are ultimately proven fake, his name has already been dragged through months of damaging headlines, late-night jokes, and viral social media scrutiny.